Now you'll have to clear that box out of the way and we'll get to it. Okay, sitting front edge of chair, hands relaxed on thighs, slight tuck of chin, getting that central line intact so that you can relax. Relax any of the excess activity in the body. And again, very important, this combination of first achieve the vertical line. So that takes a little bit of effort sometimes if our posture's a little off, if we're a little slouched or slumped. So apply your awareness, chest maybe up a little, chin down a little, make sure you're not falling back in the pelvis, be a little bit in front of the sits bones. And then when you achieve that vertical line, then you can let go of the grip and holding and feel that plumping that happens when you relax. So we don't slouch more when we relax. If our central line is there and correctly aligned, then when you soften, there's a sort of opening up of interior space. And then keeping that quality of spaciousness, we do a little breathing in through the nose, filling up, maybe holding the breath a little bit, and then out the mouth, all the way out, maybe holding empty a little bit, and then in the nose, holding full, out the mouth, in the nose, out the mouth at your own pace. Now, just for this little beginning here, close the eyes and practice turning your perceptive ability, rather than looking outside of you, look in. So you kind of literally can develop X-ray vision. This idea of sensing, almost seeing what's going on underneath the surface, from the layers of the skin down through the layers of tissue, all the way down to the bones. You start to just kind of be able to scan and sense what's going on with the body. So mind-body exercise, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to sort of harness our attention that's being pulled out, sent out into the outside world, trying to harness and send it through the interior space. This also is filling our energy battery as well when we do that, because there's a sort of seepage, leakage that's happening energetically, that when we close the eyes and we start to pour the awareness inward, you can sense that there is a reclaiming, regaining, refilling that happens. And eventually you can keep that with the eyes open and engaging with the world, but we want to sort of formally attune to this inward direction. So just final 10 breaths, eyes closed. See if you can get this quality of pouring your awareness. They say in the Taoist literature, turn the light around. Turn the light of your perception around like a spotlight, point it back in towards your own mind, your own body, your own nervous system. We're softening and relaxing, pouring the awareness into and throughout our vessel, our vehicle here, so that we can inhabit our bodies more completely, more fully. Now, as we go through our movement sequence, don't leave this practice. So this initial practice of just pouring your awareness in and throughout the body. Keep that as you open your eyes. So you open your eyes and you can now see what's going on around you, but don't be pulled away from this sensing your own interior space. And then we'll go into our movements. Slide hands back, elbows back, shoulder blades back, chest up, chin up, arching. And then slide hands forward, past the knees, the chest hollows, the head drops, open back. And again, sliding hands back, elbows back, chest up, arch, forward. Do this maybe 3 more times, something like that. But really, with that same intention of inhabiting your body more completely, more thoroughly. Feel every moving part, each of the 24 vertebrae. Feel the shoulder blades and arm bones and joints as they're changing back and forth. Feel the pelvis as it's tipping and tilting. The head and neck as it's dropping forward and then lifting up. Keep in mind the idea that there's this hydraulic liquid system that we want to rely on rather than the muscle tension, grabbing and holding. Now settle back to this middle position, just a moment of doing nothing, keeping that central line, nothing extra in your tissue, body, or nervous system, everything just open and flowing. And then the rotation, slide left hand forward, right hand and elbow back, turn the shoulders, turn the head, and then switch. Sliding right hand forward, left hand back, turn. So less important how far you turn, more important the power system that you're using to turn. So only use this soft, loose, easy quality. So you're training yourself to go, oh yeah, I don't have to overdo it. And the more you train this soft system, the more you can do with that soft system. So these first movements are relatively simple. And then they just get more complex as we go. But try to really tune your palate, tune your awareness to this quality of sung, soft, supple, loose, fluid, which gives us a lightness and a buoyancy. Now come back to the neutral, the middle, just a moment there. Again, notice if there's anything extra in the system, you can just release. And then we drop the arms alongside, change the weight to the right buttock and just softly lean. Really let the head drop as well as all the vertebra. And then just lifting this left wrist and left foot a little bit to allow you to flirt with disaster just a bit more. This kind of, I'm almost going to fall out of the chair, but don't. And then we go to the other side. So we're trying to play with this edge. And again, the middle pivot remains constant. This is what we organize around. And we have this, again, ideally, this loose and limber and floaty body organized around a middle nexus point or pivot point. And that's where we can start to find agility and stability, freedom of movement, as well as precision and control. Now back to middle. Shoulders shrug way, way up. Again, this is almost the number one suspect for where we hold is this neck, shoulder, upper body. And then soft and release and try to let it feel like, again, cooked noodles, these arms super loose, shrugging up and down, soft, loose. All the way up. Melting. One more. Now the full shoulder blade circle. So the shoulder blades spread apart from each other. That's called protraction. That requires this hollowing of the chest. So this has to happen. And the arms, they move forward, but not because I'm moving my arms forward. It's because the blades spread apart, the arms migrate forward. And then a lift of the shoulders. Keep them up as you go back, really squeezing all that tissue tension that just bottles up right in through here. And then keep the shoulder blade back as you slide down, right? The chest is kind of lifted and open. And then we go through neutral. Feel this neutral place where the chest is neither lifted nor hollowed. The shoulders are not forward or back. Everything's just neutral. And then forward with the shoulders, the chest has to hollow. Lift up with the shoulders still forward. Get all the way lifted up, up, up with the shoulder blades. And then over the top, back. And the chest has to kind of puff forward a little bit. And then sliding down the back, and just remember neutral. Feel that soft, easy, empty quality here. Again. So another saying in Tai Chi is empty the top empty, bottom full. That's that Bobo the Clown metaphor that I keep using with the sand at the bottom and then the blow-up doll just with air, and you can knock it over and it just comes right back up. So we're emptying out this area up here where we're usually holding, and it's subconscious and unconscious even. So just assume that you have layers there that need to be cleaned out, because everyone does. Reverse. We go back, then up, over the top, forward, then down, under, back, then up, over the top, forward, down, back, up and over. One more. And then this next one, it can be, it's a cognitive challenge as well as it being different when we go, our shoulder blades do this, basically, it kind of wrings out this chassis of musculature through the neck, shoulders. So we got to go right shoulder forward and up, right? And so this left shoulder is down. Now, as you take your right shoulder back, left shoulder forward. Then as left shoulder comes up, right shoulder goes down. And then as left shoulder goes back, right shoulder comes forward. So they're both going in the same direction, forward and up, back and down, but they're off rhythm with each other. And this does something different. Again, it's both a cognitive challenge for you to try to control both of these moving parts, but structurally and at the tissue level, it's actually doing something really important. It's this like wringing out some deep places through here. Now reverse, so forward and down, back and up, and then forward, down as the other one goes back and up. Loosening, wringing out, getting those barnacles, stuck spots, the sort of grit and sand and glue that gets into those areas, and then relax. And the net result should be space and flushed fluid, blood flow, interstitial fluid, and also space for nerve flow through the area. Now, bend the elbows, out, up, way up, So now we're really, because we have the elbows bent, it kind of cinches the tissue, connective tissue. And then when we lead through the tips of the elbows, it pulls the starch out, the tension out from deep spaces in here. And then down to the side, around in front, squeeze. By pressing in front, you're forcing this area to kind of open and splay. And then down, out and up. This one goes nice with an inhale and exhale. Close. One more. All that real estate, interior space. Down and around. Now elbows straight back behind you, squishing and toning all this upper shoulder, upper back musculature, opening in front, and then elbows down, forward, up, way up, and then forward, down, back. Really important with this one is on the way up, the tighter and more stuck we are here, the more we tend to open this way to kind of cheat around. So keep the elbows at shoulder distance as you go up. And that really puts the demand where we want the demand. So even if you don't get as high, don't cheat and get to here, because that relieves the dynamic tension, which we want to work with. And down and back. And then forward and up. And elbows down, elbows out, palms face the floor. One hand up, one hand down, cross, wrap. Hug and squeeze and really allow the front of you to close and feel how that opens the back. Just try to allow that open space between shoulder blades and spine. And then release and open. Feel this sort of buoyant quality here. And then other side. Wrap and hug. And open. Again, switch. And open. Switch. Open. Elbows down, arms out in front. Turn palms down, up, down, up. Focus on the idea that it's in the forearm, not the wrist. It's not something just out here in the wrist. It's the forearm, those two bones in your forearm, pronating, supinating. Then palms up, hands out, elbows in. This induces opened, unfolded. Then hands come in, elbows go out and around. This internal rotation here induces fold, close. Elbows in, hands out, open, unfold. Hands in, elbows out and around, closed, folded. Open, close. Open, unfold, close and fold. Open, unfold, and stay there. Step wide apart. So this is going to add a little qua cultivation or opening of the groin area. So left hand up and over, reaching over and bringing this hand to meet here. That forces a little side lean, a little bit of a twist, and an opportunity to open this left quad. So don't let the leg fall in this way. Keep it open. Then go up, over, back to this position in the middle. Then the right hand up, over the rainbow, down. And then up, over, and over, down, up and over. One more. And we're back to middle. Both hands up, cross, one wrist above the other, turn the palms down, arms fall through the middle between the legs and separate. Folded, closed, internally rotate. Cross, lift, open, unfold. Close, fold, other wrist on top. Cross, lift. See if you can get this to start to just feel like an easy motion. At first, got to see all the component parts, but eventually it's just very simple. It's kind of just loose, easy. And here, legs back to neutral, arms come in, wrists over top, circle out, roll palms up, circle, roll, circle, roll. Add this bit and this bit, so it's over top. This is one of the best ones for that arthritic sort of achiness through the wrists and hands, because we're folding at this space here, gathering the fingers, but you don't have to get anywhere in particular to like a whole fist. If all you can do is there, fine, but just get as much of this open and this gather and release, and then gather, release, and then gather, release. Now reverse, come under, gather, release, turn, gather. We're just kind of flushing, pumping, closing, opening, closing the front, opening the back, opening the front of the hand. And spread, gather. Now we've been adding to this movement. As you spread, roll under. As you gather, come over top. So the hand is closing as well as, boom, we're sort of covering. And then we're scooping under, hands are open, rolling over. Under, over. Under, over. And spread, reaching out, soft clasp into a soft cotton fist, turn and draw back. So now we're adding to that. This is that sigh or plucking movement. Open the hands, and we'll go to this corner here. Shift into that right buttock, lean the torso a little bit, reach with open hands, soft clasp, turn the palms, and then draw. Shift to your left buttock. Open, reach, clasp, draw, relax. Reach, clasp, draw. Sigh or plucking. Reach, draw. Switching to the other corner, and what we'll add to this is this turned internally as you reach, palms are facing out, clasp, rotate, draw. So we're adding a spiral. See how my elbows are out like so as I'm reaching? So that's internally rotated as I'm reaching, which gives me more room as I clasp to turn, draw. Because again, remember the idea that a healthy body is this changeable body that can go through all the ranges that it's built to go through. Otherwise, gunk and rust build up. And so these movements that are sort of odd movements at first, but you realize, oh yeah, my body is built to make this shape and reach and spiral and grab. And there's power there. There's power in these spiral movements. But for our purpose, we're just thinking cleaning out the residue. All right, and relax. Scoot back. Let's just warm up the legs and then we'll stand up. So load, push, load, set it down. Other leg, load, push, load, down, switch. Now, straighten the right leg, foot and ankle, point and flex, and point and flex. Invert, tilt the foot in, evert, tilt the foot out. Tilt, 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 tilt. Circle, in, around, and out. Out, around, and in. Switch. Point, flex, point, flex. Invert, evert, tilt, tilt. Circle, in, around, and out. Out, around, and in. Down. Scoot forward. Step wider than hip distance. Lift the toes up, swivel on the heels, toes in, knees in. Internal rotation, feel the closed quad. And then toes lift, open, feel this open quad or groin area, hip area. Close, open, close, open. So what we want here is separation of the relationship between the thigh bone plugged in to the hip socket and the hip. Whereas usually it's bound, it's held together by tension, rather than when we separate it with this practice of soft and fluid movement, then they feel like they're disconnecting, but in fact they're releasing into a different type of connection, a different type of relationship of dynamic separation, which allows for freedom of movement. Now, feeling that space you just created, bring your legs back to hip distance. Now, through that space, just fold forward, back to vertical, and lean back. So when this area is bound together and held together, that means it's also bound back here, and we have less movement, and therefore we have less power, less agility, less adaptability. But when there's a looseness, then we have this freedom of movement. And there's just many reasons why that's a better state to be in. And so we just want to release, relax, find that ease of movement. Now, slide your feet back a little bit under your knees, and let's keep these arms super loose and relaxed. Fold, pour the weight out of your chair down to the floor. And when you stand up, remember that saying, top empty, bottom full. Let the weight go down. Fold at the hips, sink, land the butt, and then sit back in the chair. Same thing. Again, we just fold, soft, loose. Let the weight go out of the chair to the floor, down through the legs to the floor. And up here is loose, light, empty. Fold in half, sink down, sit in your chair, Sit back one more time. Just loose. Now use that same movement to squat, possibly even to touch the toes or touch the floor. So if you drop something on the floor, this is your best way to go down, get to the floor, see if you can grab it, pick it up, and then push through the earth and bring that item up. Same idea if you had something in your hand you wanted to place on the ground. If this area is stiff and stuck, we tend to round, and you can see I'm putting strain in my back versus send the hips back, sit, you get nice and low, set that item down. So that's functional, but also it helps the function of the back muscles and the vertebra when we are able to sink and let this area open and open, right, in those directions. And back to standing. Okay, now just very safely tip into the toes a little bit. Back to the middle. And then a little bit into the heels, just a little bit. And then toes. Heels. This is one I've been seeing a lot with a lot of my private client work, is when people are feeling imbalanced, a lot of times it's because they're afraid to be forward enough. Now, again, we wouldn't want to be this far forward trying to walk around the world, right? But the same thing, we don't want to be back here trying to walk around, and that means at any moment we're ready to topple back. So this is a very powerful practice. It's kind of simple, but it's just helping you find, whoa, there's a whole range of movement in this direction, and then you can actually find middle. Find the middle. Now let's do our Tai Chi. Forward and up, like you're painting a wall. And then the hands change softly, loose. Many reasons this is beneficial. They say this flushes and pumps the 12 main meridian channels. This movement helps to flush the chi through the entire body. They say it. Maybe it's so. But what I like about this one is it's training the more liquid quality, right? The more we can get this thing happening, right? When you come up and then down, it's just very nourishing to the joints. The other thing, feel the space here. So when you come up, we're not jammed together. We're allowing that space, and then feel the buoyancy, the ease of movement that's present when you're open. When you're opening up these spaces, the body moves kind of like it's got anti-gravity juice in it. Now scoop the hands here in front and do the same quality, this round, loose, easy. And then the hands change that little bit and scoop up. And then we open. Feel all that space through here. And whoa. Now, as if sinking chi to belly. Wing, roll, hold, and just let the hands fall through that space, down to completely loose. Open, roll, fold, and just stay soft and loose and let there just be this descent. Roll. ABCs of movement. Now the complementary exercise, back of hands towards each other, up through this middle space, rolling over top. By the time the hands get out to the side, have the fingertips pointing out, palms facing down, and it just flows right under. Internally rotate, backs of hands face this hollow space in front. Come up that space. And then just shoulders, elbows, forearms, wrists, fingers, all moving naturally, fluidly together. So there's a bit of a spiral and a counter spiral. Again, we're just feeling loose, free. Training the juices and liquids to flow unobstructed. Now, wing, right hand palm up, fold over top, left hand under towards each other, away from each other, around. Left hand over top, right hand underneath, and then magnetic attract, magnetic repel. Remember, the bottom has to come up as well as the top down. So it's both. And then both. Both. Separate or asymmetrical movement, but again, they're separate from each other, but yet similar to what I was saying with the hips, there's a dynamic separation. So they're not separate, they're still connected, but they're just not being connected by tension. They're connected by a loose, free quality. And they're communicating with each other through our middle. Now, finally, open, wings, hands down, hands scoop in front, up, turn palms over, down. So here, working on settling, this concept of settling without thinking that we're squatting down, we're rising up this quality of pung, or like the energy of fire, how fire naturally goes up. And then we're balancing that with this quality of on, settling. So the hands are doing the most overt representation of that, this lifting and this lowering. But here you want to feel that through the whole body, kind of straightening up, almost locking the knees. And then here is that on, where it's this softening through the medium, sinking through the medium, the liquid medium, all the way to relax. And again, up. And over time, what you want to feel is you can be straight-legged, lifted, almost like you're being pulled off the ground, and yet the on quality of being grounded and sunk through the earth doesn't change. So we actually haven't uprooted ourselves. And then when we do this, we're just accentuating that feeling of being empty through this body and grounded, plugged in. One more. Lifting up, only to then just settle the quality of on, down, through. Now bring the hands up in front of the chest area, pull the elbows back a little bit, turn your palms forward. Now it's push. Now as you fully extend, we want to keep the on quality connected down and even have a little bit of moving back in the torso. So not back like you're going to fall back, but back in such a way to balance so that you're still centered. And then turn the palms to face your body and draw back. So the power of the push comes not from how much force you're putting here, but how well grounded you are, how well centered you are, how stable that middle pivot is. And then turn, and bring back. Open. Turn palms, push. There's a sort of closing in front, opening back. Turn the hands, draw back. Turn, push as if pushing through the tips of the fingers rather than thinking of heel of hand. Tips of fingers get all the way, fully extend, get the tissue long and stay anchored somewhat back and down, and then draw. Again, we're flushing and pumping the joint tissue relationships. We're loosening up places that commonly are glued together. Now, turn left hand palm forward, push. Now, as you keep right hand close to shoulder and chest and push with the left, causes a nice little rotation. So there's a little bit of a turn, right? Then turn left palm to face your body, right palm faces away, drawing back, other hand pushing, causes a little turn. You might even feel it in the quad, right? Turn, push. So the pushing hand, that quad has to open a little bit, right? Rather than let the leg collapse in. Find this interior mechanism and then change. One push, one draw. Hands change. One push, one draw. So again, watch the hand. Simultaneous. So Ilana, have your right palm facing forward. Turn to face forward. There you go. And left hand out here, palm facing back. And then it's one draw, one push. And then it's turn and turn. Then draw, push. And simultaneous turn, turn, draw, push. Turn, turn. One more each. Both hands back. Down. Loose. Let go. Release. Change the weight more to the right leg. Let's just do a couple of these where we casual, soft release down through. Change the weight, let the weight go down through. So there is some lateral left to right movement happening, but what's most important is the allowing down to the earth, the quality of releasing, which is different than a moving the body in some way. It's a quality. So now that left to right change, you got that going on. Let's add the turn from the middle pivot. So change to your right leg, turn to the right, and then sweep those floating hands over. Turn, left palm to face back, right palm like a broom ready to sweep. This leg empty, this quad open. And then we change the weight to the left, turn, sweep. The bear washes paws. Turn that right palm, turn the left palm so they change jobs. Brush knee, sweep leg, they go through. Now, if and when you're doing this right, each round is an opportunity to let go of more because we're shifting, we're turning, the hands are sweeping. So now as this hand is coming across, it's kind of pulling and stretching some spaces, and then it turns and now comes back through. And over time, you want that dynamically separated relationship to start to show up. So, right, similar to what I was saying about everything else, it's like it starts connected maybe by like sort of tension, but over time, we want to feel this brush, then sweep. And then brush, that's going through. Then the sweep is trailing behind. And there's more open space. So now the limbs are exploring out in the space in front of you here. So it becomes the bear swirls the stream. So now that hand that's coming through is still brush knee, but the other arm is traveling away from the body, right? Opening up that space in the back. And comes in, and then change and turn and swirl the stream around. Bring it in close and swirl. And so again, this back is just opening, opening, opening. And as that's opening more and more, then that buoyancy increases. Now the arm easily just floats up a little bit and becomes the bear, swats at that low jumping fish, or middle jumping fish, brush knee, big bear paw, sweeping. We're still changing weight to one leg, turning that way, and then changing and still be tracking the hand that's brushing knee you're still tracking that even as you're tracking the other arm. And then you keep tracking this in your mind as it drops. You don't just let it die, right? You're still present, inhabiting every nook and cranny. Let's go a little higher with that bear. Fish jumping a little higher, but keep the low quality, keep that on quality. So even though we're now going, we're not losing the down. The big bear swatting at the high jumping fish without losing any of that wonderful stability that is greatly illustrated by the bear when we picture a big old strong bear. Last one here. And now let's go into that brush, knee, and push. So have your right hand dipped into the water, left arm floats up like a wing, roll, fold. So now this is ready for the push mechanic. And we're shifting, turning, brushing, and pushing. And then let them go all the way to their ends and orbit back into this ready position. And then it's shift, turn, bottom hand brush, top hand push. Let them go, 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 go all the way. So I'm getting that length, and yet I'm keeping my groundedness. I'm not being pulled off my base. So that's that on quality, sunken down. And then right hand dips down into the water, left hand roll, fold. And then it's shifting, then turning, then brush, knee, and push. Let them go, go, go all the way. They return loaded. So from this yin stored up position to a express or an issue that then softens and returns stored and ready to then brush, push, brush, push. Now go back to the bear wash pause. Go back to the smallest version of bear washing pause you could create, with all the elements present of changing leg, turning from the middle, and sweep. And then changing, turning, brushing, and sweeping. So we want to be able to track the nuance. See how that on the next one, can your brush maybe go a little further and your sweep goes a little further. And then the next one, maybe it's even a little further. So each one is not a replica. Each one, in fact, is kind of different. Just like in a river, if you sit and watch a river, each flow is different. It's never repeating the same flow, but it's still the same river. It's still doing that river thing. So let this keep growing, and it just becomes the bear swirls the stream. That hand just wants to go around again because it feels good, because it's healing to move, open those spaces. And remember that arm that's going around, Ilana, comes in close. So it's not out here the whole time. That's what I see you do sometimes. It's circling and coming in and going through here. So they're making a circle. It's going away and then back through, away, and then in close. So it's got to circle back in. If it goes away, it's got to come back close, right? And then again, that buoyancy, the hand will just be able to float up a little bit. And a little higher. Bear swatting that middle jumping fish. Keeping our on quality of feeling very sturdy, not because we're holding on to our body really tightly, but because we're so loose that the weight is underneath us. And so this body up here has got all this range. Let's go for the high jumping fish. We could be reaching way up over the top, and back down, and way up over the top. And yet we're not losing this relationship to the earth that's very sturdy. So that's what's just such a cool feeling the more you practice Tai Chi is ease. Ease becomes the state that you're in. Now, brush and push. So that's just that little more sophisticated use of the mechanics. Brush and push. Go long, 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 long. Then roll, fold, and then it's from this stored state issuing out and away, the manifesting out and away, and then it naturally returns to a stored state. And then from that stored state, spring-loaded, it expresses out. And then it roll folds and we switch and it's stored. There's a sort of gathered state. And then from there, there's the expressibility. Store. Express. Store. Express. Now stay here. So your weight is in your left leg. It's my right, your left. Empty right foot. Just step it a little behind, toes turned out. Change the weight into that right leg. And remember, we want to keep this quality, not this quality. And this is what happens a lot is people kind of, I'm exaggerating what happens, but when we try to do it, we do that instead of that. So find that relationship. You're just sitting through the leg, you let the knee be bendable. You don't bend it, but you let it be bendable. And then empty this left foot and place the toe out on the floor, cat stance. Right hand is dipped, fingertips to the water. Bend left elbow, point fingertips up. This is that golden rooster, stands on one leg. Now bring the empty foot back, heels touching, toes both turned a little bit out. Change the weight. Remember not to stick the butt out. Find that relationship. Left hand down. Right hand up as you place right empty toes out on the ground. Golden rooster. Your middle pivot is the constant. Bring the right foot back, no body weight. Again, middle pivot is constant as you change which leg is full, which is empty. Change which hand is down, which hand is up. Golden rooster. Bring the foot back. So when we don't have awareness in the middle, all these moving parts can be very discombobulated. But when we find the middle, everything's organized. Everything is efficient. Bring the foot back. Chain. Golden rooster. Foot back. Chain. Golden rooster. And what we want to look for here is that feeling of on or sunken, connected down to the earth. We never lose it. All we're doing is trading between the legs. We're just, the quality of groundedness remains. We're just trading. Now it's this leg that's connecting me to it. So I'm not coming up, over, and then back down. But instead I'm grounded the whole time and I'm just changing which leg. This is now empty, and I'm just changing, full empty. Now this is empty, but that steadiness comes from being still down through the earth. And then last three on each side, option for the empty foot, lift a little, right? Or more. And then change. Once it's empty, then change. And you can see when I do it, it looks like it's easy. Be careful there, Janet. Be careful. It looks like it's easy because it is at a certain point. But until we found that ability to really let the weight through the leg down to the earth, we got to go slow. We got to be very attentive. All righty. Bear wash pause. Now, that sweeping hand vapors up, becomes a cloud. Change the weight to the right leg, turn from that middle pivot, cloud, leg. Then cloud rains down, leg vapors up. Shift, turn, cloud, lake, cloud rain, lake vapor, shift, turn, cloud, lake, vapor, rain. Let's add the leg challenge of, as we come across here, if you're on this side with me, should be this leg, your right leg, that is empty. So bring it in as the hands change. Step it back out. And then we shift, turn, cloud, lake. Now, as you vapor and rain, left leg being empty, should be able to just float in and float out, all without disturbing this central stillness. And then shift. As the hands change, bring right foot in, right foot out. Cloud, lake, vapor, rain. And bring that right hand down, or whatever hand is high, both hands down. Wash, pause. And then that slightly advanced movement here. Bring the hands up in front. Change your weight to your right leg. Left foot empty. So I'm going to turn sideways so you can just see here. So one is empty. Now step that empty foot in front, shift into it, and reach somewhat up and out. So remember, side. So clasp. Your back foot should be empty at this point, right? So you're in your front foot, back foot is empty. Shift the weight into your back foot and draw from high to slightly low. Pluck. Drop the hand. So now we're going to switch each time here. So change your weight now to your left foot. Right foot should be empty. Step it in front as you bring the hands up. Reach up and at a diagonal, soft clasp, draw. And notice in my feet how I did. The important thing is I am, yes, moving backwards, but it's down. That's what keeps everything organized. If I think backwards, that's where falls can happen. Instead, it's to the earth. Okay, now switching feet each time. So as you relax the arms, change the weight to the other foot. So now your other foot's free to step forward. Hands coming up, reach. Back foot is empty. Stepping back and drawing and down to the earth. Find that stability even with this issuing of a pulling gesture. And then relax and change legs. Hands float up this front, relaxed, open space as you reach, clasp, and pull. Change. Step, reach. Remember this internal rotation arm position so that they can then externally rotate and draw. Think of it as a down to the earth. change, hands float up, step, reach, get this dynamic extension. So this is empty, but it's separating from where the hands are going. That creates kind of a rubber band quality. And then, boom, change, step and reach, getting that rubber band extension quality through the body. And then clasp, draw, change, reach, clasp, draw, change, step, reach, clasp, draw. One more each side. Reach, clasp, draw, change, and draw. And to finish the whole practice, arms release, rock back a little, open and lift, rock forward a little, sweep hands around and close in front, rock back, hands come as if bringing something in the mouth, rock to the middle of your feet, your hands settle to the middle, this is our middle reservoir, and then hip hinge, sink, and soften the arms long, and let everything open in the back. Push through the earth, stand, and ideally each time you do that, you come up and there's less grab in the body and more ease and looseness. 2 more of those. It's kind of as a chi reset. This flushes and pumps all the channels. It moves all the pivots. This is the opening and closing of most of the qigong forms in the system that I'm learning. It just washes everything through. Last one, because there's this opening and then this closing. Back to a slight bit of opening and then settling. And then this letting everything through, folding and closing the front, opening the back. And then we close the entire practice, wings, roll, fold over top, this gathering and consolidating, hands settling, settling, settling down to belly button height. So just keep that in mind. This is the level of our middle. So this standing meditation just lets everything consolidate, consolidate like a battery recharging. And then we seal the practice, one hand over, other hand over that hand. Just a few breaths doing nothing, keeping this softness throughout. And one of my favorite sort of Taoist isms, stillness is not the absence of movement, it's the absence of impediment to movement or impediment to that which is flowing. Because again, we just think of our circulatory system, the blood is not sitting there still. The blood is flowing. And think of everything sort of operating in that way. The nervous system, the chi, right? Life force idea, something called interstitial fluid that's flowing between the cells, between this sort of matrix. So when we're standing still, it doesn't mean you're holding still. In fact, it's that you're so relaxed and open that everything is just flowing, unobstructed, unimpeded. And then we close this little hand mudra representing yin and yang, the polarities harmonizing, rather than sometimes in martial arts, they do like fist for power and this for peace or something like this. But I just love this idea that it's just the harmonizing, the melding, the sort of interplay. So that hand gesture, and we finish. So thank you, everybody. Make sure you find your seat. And if there's any final questions, Miguel, I noticed you popped in right at the end of class. So maybe you thought we started at 12 or you're just popping in to check it out. But
it says on the site that the class starts at 12.
really?
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Is that true? You guys, I need to see that so I can tell them that.
I'll
I'm
find
sorry
it
about that. We start at 11